Hey everyone, and welcome to The Nerve. I am your host, Maureen Callahan, and we begin the month of July with a banger. We have unholy unions galore. We have a brand new Kennedy scandal, and I think we're going to have to expand the woodshed. We're only in month 3 of the woodshed, and I think we need a new wing. Any donors out there want to contribute? We're probably going to have to build a wood chipper as well. We're thinking about it. We're planning for the future. We're being responsible troublemakers, planning for the future. Anyway, I cannot wait to tell you, moving into the topics of the show, the amazing stuff we have to get to. I can't wait to tell you what my inside sources have told me about Anna Wintour's exit from Vogue. And I am telling you guys, I don't think it was very pretty. My sources say, Condé's saying the opposite. Condé Nast is saying she was in New York City. My sources are saying she was in London. We'll see. But we've got incoming details. Plus, we have Kinsey Schofield, host of Kinsey Schofield Unfiltered, joining us again on The Nerve with exclusive new details on the ever-expanding rift between Prince William and Harry, a little status update on Kate Middleton, and the truth behind Meghan Markle's staff turnover. Then, per your requests, you guys are the boss, we will recap the most recent episode of And Just Like That. If I were like a person who would run to HR for any little thing, I'd be like, I deserve hazard pay for this. It's that bad. Plus, we're going to get to your emails, which are coming in thick and fast, and a moment of nirvana. A nice little palate cleanser at the end of this that I believe will be a catharsis for us all. We also have something new to announce. It's going to be a special Troublemaker of the Month award. We begin in July, month 3, and the winner will receive a dedicated gift, which I will unveil at the end of the show because I like a cliffhanger. Back in a minute. Introducing A Warehouse, your one-stop shop for handmade, unique home goods sourced exclusively from small businesses. A Warehouse is dedicated to supporting American manufacturers with over 75% of their items created right here in the USA. From hand-thrown pottery to luxurious candles, every item is selected for its integrity, craftsmanship, and story. Small businesses need our support now more than ever. This year, Forbes has predicted a record-breaking 15,000 retail store closures in the US. That's more than double the 7,000 plus closures in 2024. So by making the effort to support these small retailers, you can really make a difference in people's lives today. A Warehouse believes that true luxury isn't about brand names or labels or price tags. It's about the dedication, the creativity, and the care that goes into every product. So visit awarehouseshop.com and use code The Nerve for 15% off your first order. That's awarehouseshop.com, code The Nerve for 15% off your first order. To begin our very special ongoing coverage, hopefully this is the final dispatch, frankly, of the Bezos-Sanchez unholy union in Venice over the weekend, we have the one, the only Kinsey Schofield of Kinsey Schofield Unfiltered. Welcome,
Maureen.
Kinsey.
Oh, Maureen. I mean, there was so much to talk about that I had to call you over the weekend. We had to have like a pre-unleash before this because there was just so much coming at us between the 3-day lavish festivities in Venice. There was too much. There's too much for us to talk about.
It's true, and I'm actually glad we did it because we really sorted out the wheat from the chaff in terms of what we really want to be discussing regarding all these many developments. Now, first among them, and I think I saw this after I spoke to you, there was this amazing paparazzi photo. Gayle King is tying Oprah's laces. Kinsey, what do you make of this?
Well, I mean, I didn't realize I was going to say this so soon in the segment, but money does not buy class. I knew it would happen inevitably throughout this process. But I did not realize it was going to be so soon. Money does not buy class. And that is hilarious and foul. But you know what? At the same time, I love you enough to tie your shoe. I would
never ask you and I would never allow for it. Like, unless like both of my arms were broken.
Right.
You know, like are we supposed to? I think this is proof that there is nobody in Oprah's life, not even Gayle King, her great platonic friend Gayle, who is considered to have parity with Oprah on any level. You are the help. If you are not Oprah herself, you are the help.
Well, a lot of people think that in Meghan Markle's last podcast appearance, she hinted that Oprah had become one of her best friends. And I can see Meghan Markle bending over to tie Oprah's shoes in any venue, whether it's on a table or on a Montecito beach somewhere. Oprah opens a lot of doors for people. I guess when she says jump, you say how high, because she can create opportunities for you. But you talk about these people that linger in kind of a dark space. And I certainly consider Oprah Winfrey one of those people. I mean, just Google pictures of her and her BFF, Harvey Weinstein.
Right. And Diddy.
And Diddy.
And, we could go on. But, okay, that image will live in infamy. It's in the running for the first annual Nerve Awards. Okay. Now, I wanted to direct you as well, our collective gaze. As Hoda would say, let's fix our gaze on this Instagram post from the wedding. This is by Sarah Foster, who with her sister Erin, I believe, created the Netflix show No One Wants This.
Yes.
Aptly named. These are Nepo babies. Their father is the insufferable composer / producer David Foster, who many of you troublemakers may know as one former house husband on Beverly Hills. So she let's take a look at this Instagram
post. By the way, he's also known as Prince Harry's chosen father now.
Oh, right. Oh, how could I forget? Well, who wouldn't want to belong to this family of down to earth, regulars? She's got this unending carousel on Instagram of her and her friends, one of whom is or maybe her husband in silk pajamas on a water taxi. These Venetian water taxis look like something out of North by Northwest. Her caption reads, "Breaking. 2 people in love got married and their friends showed up."
Oh gosh. Well,
so it's our fault. It's the world's fault for paying attention to a disgusting, gluttonous display of wealth and obscenity that cost Jeff Bezos at minimum $50 million. They did it so that the paparazzi would have unobstructed views of the comings and goings, but it's our fault for looking at this thing.
What I sent you a picture early on in the trip where Lauren Sanchez Bezos is waving at people like she's on a Mardi Gras float. Like she knew exactly what she was doing and she pursued exactly what she was doing. But they said that there were the itinerary featured 3 themed parties, including a pajama themed bash. So I'm wondering, clearly we missed the foam party, which that should also be nominated for your award series. The pictures of them on a yacht covered in foam, money doesn't buy class. But I'm curious to know what the other events were, but perhaps that's why we saw someone on a boat in silk PJs.
I get where you're going with this, and I had a similar thought. And I thought to myself, now that, listen, we are all, our innocence has been lost post freak off. Our collective innocence has been lost. So what would surprise us, if anything? And that brings me to this photograph. So again, you and I were talking about how do these people have any connection to Lauren Sanchez and Jeff Bezos? One, Sydney Sweeney, I submit for everyone's consideration, who was at this wedding, who was photographed, I believe, on Saturday morning, walking through the streets of Venice with both Tom Brady and Orlando Bloom, who were reportedly fighting for her attentions on the dance floor. What I wouldn't give to see an inebriated Tom Brady attempting to dance, And the inference or the implication seems to be that maybe they partied all night long, all 3 of them.
Oh, I know. It depended on the outlet that you looked at, but one second she was flirting with Orlando Bloom. She was going to run off and marry Orlando Bloom now that he's Katy Perry free. And then the next second she was with Tom Brady. Like you said, there are some articles that are like, oh, this was the crew to be with, as if something else was going on behind the scenes. Throw in a Leo and that's a math problem I can't work out.
But, she's above his age limit, Kins.
Thank you. Bless you. Very good point. But and for a second, I felt bad for her because I thought, oh man, that they're making they're making her out to look a little slutty. But at the same time, like she did this with the Glenn Powell movie. She, despite being engaged to the fiance she recently announced she's no longer with, Anyone But You was coming out, and they purposely set up paparazzi shots and flirted during junkets because they wanted to perpetuate this. Could Sydney Sweeney be leaving her fiance for Glenn Powell? So I feel like she's kind of dipped her toe in there, and there's no going back once you do that. Maybe it's a lesson for future starlets.
Well, let's not forget, speaking of dipped her toe, as of a week or so ago, it was reported that Sydney Sweeney was selling her dirty, used bathwater online. So you couple that kind of entrepreneurial mind with the Kardashians, who were like disembarking from water taxis one by one, like oiled up in skin tight leopard print cat suits and Balenciaga disgusting labels like slung around their waists. And my other favorite example of the class that was on display was the reports that Kris Jenner had lobbied Lauren Sanchez, who had only invited Kris and Kim K. Hey, you got to get two of my other kids on this wedding guest list. Like, what are you doing? I've never, like, it is beyond tacky and rude to invite yourself to a wedding that you are not invited to.
Well, I wonder what that plea sounded like. Did that plea sound like, you're now you're reaching multiple, this clearly was supposed to be an event. So is Kris Jenner saying you'll reach multiple generations if you get all the girls, if you've got all the girls, now you've got the younger ones that are paying attention to it? Because their presence necessarily wasn't, I don't ever see those girls with Lauren Sanchez. I do see Kim and Kris with Lauren Sanchez. You see them on social media sharing the different kind of gifts they've recently given each other. There's an established relationship there. I think that Kris knew that this was the place to be seen. And that's why she wanted all of her the girls that put themselves out there the most out there. Kourtney stayed home with a kid, Travis Barker. But it also makes you think, like, was Meghan Markle intentionally posting the beach frolicking photo over the weekend to say, like, I'm not mad, I'm not there, when everybody else was there?
Yes. And do you think that Meghan would have done something akin to what Kris clearly did, which is knock on that door and say, hey, had any last minute cancellations? I'd happily be a seat filler.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it reminds me of when we found out that she was in the Hamptons. Was it the G7 summit, G9 summit, some summit in the Hamptons for female entrepreneurs? And no one wanted their photo taken with Meghan. The only people that would take their photo with Meghan was Jamie Kern Lima and Sarah, the Spanx founder, who we now inevitably know they've worked with her. So they clearly don't have an issue with her. But yeah, I think Meghan does try to kick down doors and elevate herself socially. And this was a missed opportunity for her.
Oh, was it ever? Well, we're going to get to Meghan and the royals in 1 second. But before we do, I want to ask you your theories as to Anna Wintour's inelegant exit from Vogue. I think, just my opinion, and her hand in both outfitting Lauren Sanchez in this bridal gown, this Dolce & Gabbana custom gown that, to me, a little too close for comfort to my eye, really evoked Kate Middleton's wedding dress.
She could never. And I see what you're saying.
She could never. But and then Lauren Sanchez winds up on the day after the Anna announcement, the digital cover of the new Vogue as Here Comes the Bride. Tell me your thoughts.
Of Lauren Sanchez, even with the photo, there's this let them eat cake vibe about her, the space mission, the jewelry, the couture. And I've never seen someone so proud of their titties before. And I loved Anna Nicole Smith, so I'm not a total titty hater. So I was so grateful that she put it away for this day, because that was what I was really worried about. But Lauren Sanchez has said in the past she wanted to feel like a princess. I mean, might as well. This isn't your first go round when it comes to weddings. So I do think that there was a Kate Middleton inspiration there. when you look at that dress, I did see that.
Yeah, I mean, she thinks she's royalty now. She's the new Mrs. Jeff Bezos. She's royalty. There's only room for one queen, princess, duchess. So perhaps that explains Meghan's abs. I mean, let's not forget I'm just going to mention this before we get into it. Was it Beatrice's wedding where Meghan basically was like at the reception, hey, I'm pregnant.
I think it was Eugenie, but yeah. Yeah. Yes, you're right. Yes, you're right. But when it comes to Anna Wintour stepping down, it's not out of disrespect that I say this, but for her legacy, I think that her legacy is actually holding the brand back today. She was once the ultimate tastemaker, the gatekeeper of the fashion elite, but you know as well as I do that fashion and culture have evolved, and Vogue has struggled to evolve with it. I think that she alienated 50% of the country when she started putting just Democrats on the cover of Vogue, not putting.
Great point.
I don't care what you think about Melania Trump. She was a model. She was a supermodel, and she's a gorgeous woman, and she dresses so brilliantly. There's no reason to exclude her, and I think that she really drove a lot of people away from the publication when she started that.
As Michael Jordan famously said, Republicans buy Nike too.
Yeah, exactly.
So, all right, let's get to this royal stuff because it's fascinating. This exclusive information that you have been given out of Kensington Palace regarding Meghan Markle, the timing of the launch of her new wine, which is so basic, and just become a housewife already. Just become a housewife already. That's what they do. They start wine brands and then they branch out into other whatever. But apparently, so she has chosen a very specific date to launch, and apparently Prince William is none too happy about this.
Right. So I have a source that says Prince William was not impressed to read that Meghan was launching this alcohol product on Princess Diana's birthday. My source said, it's not lost on Prince William that Meghan has launched an alcohol brand on his mother's birthday, the very mum he lost in a drink driving tragedy. When I asked them if there was anger about Meghan using Diana's birthday to promote her commercial products, because this is not the first time she's done this. She hijacks royal events and important dates constantly. My source replied, it's what he's come to expect from her. He doesn't think much of her. They also said they've, William and Catherine, been quite good at ignoring the Sussexes, but anything to do with his mother is still a tender spot. I want to stress the royal family actually does want Harry and Meghan to succeed in whatever they choose to do. The belief is if they feel secure and financially confident, the attacks on the royals will eventually stop. But launching an alcohol product on Princess Diana's birthday, it's not tone deaf. It's not tone deaf. It's incredibly insensitive.
That's a nice sentiment. The idea that if they feel successful or become successful, feel financially solvent, the attacks will stop. But I think it's almost a tautology that they won't, because the only thing that really gives those two relevance is their animus and hatred of the royal family and whatever secrets they have to sell out. Hence, you see something like this, a tasteless launch timed to Diana's birthday when she was killed in a drunk driving accident.
Right. I mean, the fact that anyone that fact alone should have disqualified anyone, any alcohol related product from launching on her birthday. I get frustrated when I even think about it because I think to somebody like you or I, that's common sense. And Meghan Markle has spent years aligning herself with Diana's legacy. With that history, you can't claim you didn't know. When you've built your entire brand around intention and purpose, this is a conversation you and I regularly have. You'll talk about a comma missing, or when you read some of Meghan Markle's as ever emails, she's trying to tell us that she's obsessed with the detail. This kind of move doesn't read as accidental. It reads as careless at best and cruel at worst.
Yeah, I would firmly come down on the side of cruelty and looking to poke the bear. And I just don't understand the kind of game she's playing, because again, if they're trying to ensure that a future King William will indeed strip those titles, they're doing a bang up job. Couldn't do better at that. That they are succeeding mightily at. You also got a little piece of information, regarding Catherine, Princess of Wales, and how she's doing.
Oh, yes. So, well, this source actually, I had explained to you that this source, the reason why I love this source is because they were the ones that told me last year, as Where is Kate was exploding. They told me when everybody finds out what's going on behind the scenes, they're going to feel so guilty for the chaos that had gone on social media, for some of the conspiracies. There was a coma conspiracy, a murder conspiracy, affairs that were being generated online. 2 weeks later, it was announced from Catherine that she had cancer. So that's why I have so much confidence in this source. And then another one I wanted to bring up is somebody that reached out to me about us, saying that
You and I.
Yes, about you and I, saying that you and I have been misrepresenting, misreporting the turnover rates when it comes to Harry and Meghan's staff, people leaving, people being terminated. I usually say about 20. It's, probably over 20 people. This is somebody that has previously worked for them that said...
For Harry and Meghan, you mean?
For Harry and Meghan, that said... Mm-hmm. The domestic side is a bloodbath as well. We're not considering gardeners. We're not considering housekeepers. We're not considering nannies. We're not considering the staff at home. And Meghan, I was surprised to learn, has a lot of it. More help than we could ever imagine. So when she sits with Jamie Kern-Lima and is like, I work so hard, please know that there's an entire entourage behind the scenes that are picking up after her, helping her. And so I don't know the real number, but I'd say it's double the numbers we've been reporting for the body count when it comes to Harry and Meghan's former staff in the last few years.
Kinsey, it's kind of like when there's a natural disaster and they can't locate the bodies, but they know there probably are not survivors among them. And they say, well, double the body count. That's kind of what this feels like. But you also had this other great piece of information from your source regarding what Prince Harry knows about the ways Meghan berates and abuses her staff and what happens when he happens to walk in on her abusing, my word only, or mistreating or scolding a household employee, whether it's a domestic employee or a member of the As Ever staff.
Right. So the tone is Prince Harry will step in. If he sees it, Prince Harry will step in and defend the staff.
He defends the staff.
The staff. But realistically, it's the majority of the alleged abuse happens when he's not there. But if he does happen to catch it, he typically does step in to defend the staff. But it's all strategically done. The mean girl behavior is strategically done away from him because somebody's trying to keep up the facade at home. And so that's the source said, when Harry does happen to witness it, he steps in. But for the most part, he's not privy to it.
God, I wish this guy would find his balls. Seriously, if he's walking in on it more than once, and there have been reports of bullying that you and I are privy to because we read and we have eyes, and Buckingham Palace says, yeah, we've got it locked away in a safe. Why not just tell her to knock it off and treat people decently? It's the idea that she might consider that she's gaslighting these people enough, or her husband enough, so that if an employee were to go and say, I think I'm being mistreated, that Harry would be like, are you kidding? She's the loveliest person going. He has to know.
I feel like he has to know too, because they sign pretty ironclad NDAs. And my source was concerned about that. Everybody immediately signs pretty aggressive NDAs that scared domestic help. I mean, if you're there to scrub a toilet, you don't want to jeopardize, you can't afford to talk badly about them. You don't set yourself up like that, Prince Harry, unless you're concerned about what somebody might witness.
I would also love just a head count as to who among her staff may be not legal.
Well, that's one of the reasons they say we don't have additional information about her jam. They're saying, are the people that are working behind the scenes to create this product here legally? And that might be one of the reasons why she's so secretive about her jam production or loose fruit spread. I'm sorry.
I love it. I love it. I raise a metaphorical glass of the Duchess's wine to you, Kinsey, for coming on the nerve with all of your incredible exclusive insider information out of Kensington Palace, Camp Montecito, and beyond. And I look forward to seeing you later this week on your show.
Thank you. See you soon.
See you soon. And that was the one and only Kinsey Schofield. And I'm just going to tell you guys, the humidity out here is killing me. My hair is just going limp as we speak. I cannot control it. I'm working on trying to figure out a way around this humidity. It's killing me. Okay, anyway, up next, we have the important things. Another recap of what may have been the most uniformly terrible on every level episode of And Just Like That, plus my favorite segment of any given show, your emails. See you in a minute. We've all heard it before that wrinkle creams are the secret to looking younger, but according to Beverly Hills cosmetic surgeon Dr. John Lakey, that's just not true anymore. He says most wrinkle products are nothing more than overpriced moisturizers, and some might even do more harm than good. So that's why Dr. Lakey stepped away from traditional treatments and developed something completely different, a simple at-home method that is getting major attention. His clients call it the age rewinder method because it can visibly smooth the look of wrinkles in under 2 minutes. Dr. Lakey describes it as almost like Photoshop for your face and says you might be shocked at how easy it is to use. To share this breakthrough, he's released a free video that walks you through the method step by step, no signups, no interruptions. And this video has already gone viral with over 2.3 million views and thousands of glowing reviews. One said, "I've tried everything and this is the only thing that actually worked. I look years younger." If you want to see what everyone's talking about, just go to bhmdi.com/nerve or click the link in the description. If it works for you, Dr. Lakey has one simple request. Please share it. Let's help more people feel confident in their skin. Welcome back to The Nerve. All right, let's get into it. We only have a limited amount of time together, as much as it pains me to admit that. And just like that, Season 3, Episode 5, this one was called Your Friends and Neighbors. So that shares in common the name of John Hamm's show over on Apple. And we all know how we feel about John Hamm at The Nerve. Okay. So, this thing's coming apart like a piñata, like a cheap piñata. We open with a montage of Sarah Jessica Parker as Carrie. And remember, we are in a body horror movie where these two have fused. Carrie is SJP and SJP is Carrie. And we are a sprightly fashionista who is 900 years old with the soul of a 14-year-old. The energy, the verve. We are stomping through our new Gramercy Park townhouse mansion with pristine wooden flooring in spike heels, in a montage of spike heels. Like we're stomping around like a horse that is pulling a New York City carriage full of tourists in the heat, okay? Now we see this montage, and I'm going to say there's a key thing to note here, which is that we only see the change of clothes and heels from about the calf down, which says to me that they used a body double for these multiple shots, because Sarah Jessica Parker is like 60 or 61. And here's what happens as women. I will never forget reading about this. This was back when magazines really mattered. So we're talking like a good 20 years ago at least. But there was this it was in a fashion magazine, and there was this relatively new procedure that New York City women who had money were indulging in, because as you age, what happens is women lose fat in the balls and the heels of their feet. And so bone is closer to the bottom of the shoe, like the last of the shoe, right? That inside. So heels become extremely painful to wear. And these women were getting like filler injected in the balls of their feet and the heels so that they could have more padding so they could wear heels with less pain. Okay. So Sarah Jessica Parker at the age of 61, stomping around in heels indoors is on its face ridiculous. Again, I'm a prosecutor, right? On its face, prima facie. Is that how you say it? Anyway, now also hygiene in New York City. You know what you're tramping in the house on any given day? You actually do not. You see rats, you see human sewage waste in the street because homeless people are relieving themselves wherever they care to. Garbage is like seeping out of whatever container, like, so that's what you know you're dragging in. Most New Yorkers, the minute they get home, you may as well be in Kyoto. You are taking your shoes off. Also, her character had a hip replacement 2 seasons ago. So, and then is she actually going to really stomp around in heels, which are going to put like divots in her brand new wood floors? I think not. Okay. Now, this is one of the most common complaints New York City residents have when it comes to quality of living: noise. Noise is like top 2. And if you have a neighbor who is thoughtlessly stomping around upstairs, and trust me, I moved out of a really nice loft apartment because I had a neighbor was committed to just running everybody who lived below them out. You know, they got off on making as much noise as possible and interrupting sleep and like, so it is a thing. It is a thing. And this neighbor who also he says, I'm a writer, just like you, okay? I can't work. You're upstairs stomping around like a crazy person in your heels. Would you just do me a favor and take them off? And Carrie is outraged by this request. This is a request that any decent person would say, oh my God, I'm so sorry. What was I thinking? Of course, no skin off my back. I'll take off my heels. And by the way, the Carrie of Sex and the City was always like showing off her $100 pedicure, you know, walking around her apartment barefoot on the balls of her feet like a ballerina. I mean, again, we're just a dainty like jewel box ballerina spinning around and around, right? So then she goes to lunch with Miranda and 2 of the new cast members. And again, it's all bleeding into each other, what's going on off the screen and what's going on the screen. And she's complaining about this guy and they're all sympathizing with Carrie instead of being like, you're being a total asshole. You are in the wrong. And Miranda empathizes and she says, I'm having a similar problem with my neighbor. And Carrie literally stops her dead and says, I quote, what does this have to do with me? What does this have to do with me? Miranda is Gail, Carrie is Oprah, and Miranda is there to tie the shoelaces on the running sneaker, okay? Now, a side note, Miranda keeps saying she's in an Airbnb, and this goes to the sloppiness in the writer's room and the amount of writers who are not from New York, who have never lived in New York for a substantial amount of time, who have never read about New York, who don't subscribe or read online a New York City newspaper like The Post. Airbnb is outlawed in New York City. It is extremely difficult to get around these laws. New Yorkers don't want Airbnb. So, okay, anyway. Miranda opens, she's got a next door neighbor blasting heavy metal. Again, this is really common noise and music. And the guy next door finally opens the door and he's naked and he's got a meat cleaver and he says, I'm going to hack you up if you complain once more. And, you know, Miranda's sort of telling Carrie this on the phone and Carrie's like, yeah, I wish I could help. Carrie's living in an empty, ginormous, multi-million-dollar mansion. Miranda could have her own wing. Yeah, I wish I could help. Oh yeah, one of my new best friends is like a real estate broker. She's a powerhouse. I don't like to mix business and pleasure, business and friendship, even though in Sex and the City, writers, go look at that Bible. Carrie went over to Charlotte's house and bullied her into Charlotte giving Carrie her engagement ring so Carrie could put down money to buy her apartment, which money she didn't have because she spent it all on clothes, Cosmos, and taxis. Oh, and shoes, okay? Anyway, she finally relents and lets Miranda move in, and then we are treated to this is also Cynthia Nixon ruining this show, because as we know, Cynthia Nixon said it was a condition of her return that she could turn Miranda into Cynthia. Again, we are in a multi-character body horror movie for no good reason. As a guest in this otherwise insufferable woman's house, you know, Miranda gets up in the middle of the night, Carrie gets up in the middle of the night, runs into her in the hallway, and Cynthia Nixon, it's full frontal nudity. I don't know why Cynthia Nixon would have wanted to do this. If you're watching the show, this is a point where I'm like, if you're listening, you really saved yourself. We're showing an image with the black bars. This is graphic, but it's Cynthia Nixon looking painfully unattractive. It's a very Lena Dunham HBO move, right? Like, we all want to see nice things, and these ladies are like, not so fast, sisters. We're going to show you the real deal that's going on here. We're going to see Cynthia Nixon's sagging belly and her shapeless form and her pained expression and these black socks that she's wearing, these like elderly man's black socks that like cut her off mid-calf. Dear Lord. Okay. Now, Seema, who's one of our new multi-ethnic friends, because we've gone woke on, and just like that, we realized that New York City is in fact a melting pot. And so we've brought in some characters of color. Seema is a wealthy, seemingly, ostensibly powerful powerhouse broker, and she has rejected what seemed like fairly rational requests to stay on at her brokerage firm, or at least just stick around till you get an off-ramp going. But no, she's quit, she's left, and she's got to go get a loan because apparently she really doesn't have any money, right? So she goes to get a bank loan, and guess who she's talking to? This is intentional casting. It's the same bank teller that Carrie went to go see when she was having to buy her apartment and she didn't have the money, and she's sitting there and she has to be told, hey lady, you have only $2,000 in the bank and you have no other assets. We don't give loans to people like you. Okay. And so Seema's like trying to muscle her way into getting a jumbo loan by saying, hey, you're a woman, I'm a woman, right? We know how it is. Like, what do bank loans have to do with feminism? This is garbage. Okay. Also, a side story, Charlotte's daughter. Okay, the actresses who are playing the teenage daughters, like the girl who's playing the adopted child from China, that woman is reportedly 30 years old. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. This daughter, it's like Gabrielle Carteris on 90210. Like, she walked on the show in the season premiere, the episode, like the series premiere, and you're like, that woman's 45 and she's got a well-funded 401k. Anyway, Charlotte's daughter, her storyline is that she's dating this hot ballet dancer, this guy, but their relationship is poly, and he also has a boyfriend. And so she's constantly fighting for time with him. And Charlotte's totally cool with this. Like, in what world, please? And then Harry gets prostate cancer and she's like losing her mind and like having this, like, again, prostate cancer, it's akin to skin cancer. You know, it's treatable, whatever. Okay. Then we have a confrontation. Finally, some dramatic confrontation. Drama equals conflict. That's it. It's that simple of an equation. For drama to happen, you need conflict, which this series has far too little of. Carrie walks into her tiny kitchen in the morning and Miranda's sitting there. She's eating a yogurt and she's got half a banana and she's got like a Mexican Coke, and Carrie literally opens her Smeg refrigerator, which is really the province of hipsters under 45. But Carrie's got one and she goes, oh my God, are you eating my last yogurt? Are you eating my last banana? Are you drinking my last Mexican Coke? First of all, who doesn't invite somebody to stay at their house, whether it's for an indeterminate amount of time or as a guest? When I have guests, my house is stocked. I ask my guests, what would you like me to get? I'm going to stock up on the basics. Special requests, please send them my way. What can I do to make your stay more comfortable? You know why? Because I want people to come back. I want them to have a good time and I want them to feel at home. I would never do this to a best friend, no less. And by the way, a woman this wealthy would have a household staff who would have stocked that refrigerator, or God forbid, it's somehow empty. She would have sent the household staff down to the nearest Whole Foods. She would have door dashed it. She would have Uber Eats, like, get out. And then after this, and she tells Miranda, well, you got to go. You're a terrible house guest. Oh, sorry. Chekhov's table shows up. You know Chekhov's gun, that rule? If you introduce a gun in the first act, it's got to go off by the third. Aiden's table, the table that Carrie's been mooning over this whole time that got sold on first dibs. Well, Aiden bought it and it got delivered, and it's like a character, you know? Anyway, after this little confrontation with Miranda, who just meekly agrees, like, yeah, she's terrible. Not that Carrie's terrible, but that she's terrible. Carrie goes out and opens the door to her garden where the hot, nice gardener is taking a break in what looks like sweltering heat. And she's standing up there imperiously at the top of her wrought iron spiral staircase. And she says, she sees them and she yells, "Resume working." This goes to my theory that everybody involved in the show is horrible. And we're going to circle back to it in our moment of nirvana. The characters are horrible. I think the actors are horrible people because SJP, again, has fused with Carrie, and she thinks Carrie is a wonderful, delightful person. For one of our most recent episodes, we quoted SJP saying Carrie is generous of time and spirit. She's a monster. She's a monster, okay? She would have chased these people away long ago. Everyone in the writer's room is a monster, and Michael Patrick King, the showrunner, is a monster because they think these are ways in which one moves about the world in a civil, decent way. Not so. Okay, now enough of that. On to audience email, the best part of the show. Okay, this is from a troublemaker named Kay, who is a retired registered nurse and is content living in my little house with my dog, Joe. Divorced, no intention to remarry. I think there's a lot of women out like that, like you out there, my friend. Okay. You stumbled across the nerve and like it because we have real talk about fake people, as we just did, right? Calling out the people who promote themselves in the self-help industry as well. I have one question for you. Ask away, my friend. Why do the Kardashian women and many other young celebrities always have their lips pursed in photographs? Now, this is, again, a registered nurse, retired. Why am I tripping on that? Nurse. Okay. Pursed lips, in my experience, is a breathing technique associated with lung disease. I can't imagine they are practicing for a future diagnosis of chronic obstructive lung disease. Now, Kay, I'm going to take you at face value because your email seems very sweet and very forthright. These are women who have used plastic surgery to fashion themselves into blow-up sex dolls, and that is meant, the pursed lips are about making themselves look sexually available and always willing to perform a specific oral act. That's what's up. P.S. I don't think I am one of the troublemakers, too old and gray now. Kay, not so. There is no age limit. There is no minimum. There is no maximum for entry. All are welcome to this most otherwise unsafe space. You, Kay, are a troublemaker. This is a new one. I was living in LA, dating a personal trainer in 2001. They were in Santa Monica one day, biking on the Strand, saw Arnold Schwarzenegger, called out to him because they had worked out together before he was a big movie star. The children were with Arnold, all dressed appropriately for a summer beach bike ride, as was Arnold, so personable and friendly, as were his children. Maria was very uncomfortable. Maria was dressed in a St. John knits tank. I mean, those things are like, hundreds and hundreds of dollars retail. With her sweater, if memory serves me, around her shoulder, tied in that 80s preppy manner, with what amounted to be, in my opinion, a Cartier store on her wrists. Remember, we were talking about her on the Today Show with jangling all her gold jewelry in front of America's homemakers. Fuck off, man. Oh my God. Okay, so she's got a Cartier store on her wrists, arms, fingers, and a handbag. I found it so odd because they're going to the beach, biking around. I found it so odd and never forgot how out of place and out of touch she was in public with her family. Troublemaker forever, Joyce. Maureen, call me a troublemaker. This is a Kevin Spacey email to the woodshed, she says. Up we go with the Chiron to the woodshed. We are building a new wing as we speak. It's happening. Okay. In 1998, I watched Kevin Spacey slowly and expertly groom my college boyfriend. Spacey plays the long game. I called a then friend, Shane Black, who is a screenwriter, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. And Shane told me, again, this is just this troublemaker self-report. Shane told me to get my boyfriend away from Kevin Spacey. He said, I'm guessing this is dated. It's 1998. He said, Kevin Spacey is a raging homosexual. It was clear Shane meant the raging part, not the homosexual part. Spacey slowly convinced my boyfriend, this is a female writing, by the way. He slowly convinced my boyfriend that he, Kevin Spacey, was so famous and so lonely. I'm so successful that I don't know who my true friends are, but you really understand me. You're someone I can trust. I need to talk. Spacey called my home looking for my boyfriend at all hours, most of the time dead drunk, slurring, and angry. It ended after about 14 months when Spacey trapped my boyfriend in a car and attacked him. The boyfriend got out. In 2011, Spacey also latched on to another straight classmate of ours, a guy named Nathan, I'm not going to say the last name, who toured with Spacey and Richard III. It was reported that whenever Nathan's wife would visit the tour, Nathan would find his area in the dressing room wrecked, flowers turned over, makeup on the floor wrecked. I messaged Nathan because I couldn't believe this was happening to another classmate. His response to me was cold and clear. Spacey is a complicated man and he is my friend. Then Nathan is cast as a Spacey bodyguard on House of Cards. I am with Guy Pearce, Anthony Rapp, and all the guys who have bravely spoken out about Spacey's disgusting behavior, which covers decades. Sam Mendes, the director, describes Spacey as mercurial. I would describe him as a perfect candidate for the woodshed. You know, Kevin's selling off all of his real estate. So if you need a place to stay, Kevin, again, we're building a new wing. Okay, this is also a great one. It's an old Hollywood one, kind of, and I just got to get to it because it's too good. From another troublemaker. She officially has designated herself as such. I lived in LA and worked in the movie business for years. I had many unfortunate and disgusting crossings of paths with Jack Nicholson, who I found to be a vile, misogynistic pig. Now, these stories are legion, so this sounds legit to me. Again, it's an email from a troublemaker, not my words, hers. But she was at an art opening one night. He had just won the Oscar for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. They're doing a bunch of coke at that time. Not the troublemaker. At the time, I was a UCLA film student, 19 years old, blonde, classic California surfer girl who happened to swim in the ocean every morning before attending film school. So I was in really good shape. Mr. Nicholson began to badger me for an orgy and suggested we go to a place for him to watch me and one or more of my girlfriends, quote, making tortilla, which he illustrated by slapping the palms of his hands together. I was truly shocked. He was so rude and crude to me. I was raised a good Catholic girl from New Orleans, and a man had never spoken to me like that in my life. I was scared. I immediately declined, ran swiftly downstairs to the gallery to find my friends. Jack yelled at me as I walked away, "Don't you want to meet Warren Beatty? We can take my car up to his house." I also have many, many stories about Barry Diller, who was at Paramount at that time, that are not included in his recently released autobiography. Her quotes, "I can guarantee you," she says, "he did not write one single word of that book. My suspicions exactly. Barry Diller is an absolute monster and was one of the cruelest, most ruthless executives of all the horrific men that were in power at Paramount, which was literally a viper's nest of monsters." The story, okay, I'm skipping ahead. I will leave Barry Diller, since his book is currently for sale, but not doing too well. I love the Shiv. One story she has is how Diller left a Mercedes 450 SL at the infamous LA 405 freeway with the keys in it. Since traffic was so bad and he was going to miss a plane to Europe, he left the car on the freeway. Shades of Scott Rudin kicking an assistant out on a major thoroughfare. Barry jumped the Meridians and ran to the airport. He expected one of his assistants to retrieve the car, gather his luggage, bring them to the airport, and have his clothes shipped to him. Barry Diller, she says, allegedly also regularly physically attacked his assistants by throwing large glass ashtrays at them, cursing, swearing, etc. I also have been, oh God, this is I love you, troublemaker. I love you. And by the way, any of you who find these stories really fascinating, get the book, You'll Never Eat Lunch in This Town Again by the late, great Julia Phillips. It's incredible. It's a great beach read. This troublemaker closes. Also, again, just her self-report, I have been offered cocaine by the black hookers that were always with Bill Maher at El Coyote and other LA restaurants. I never, not one time, saw Bill Maher when he was not with a black hooker. Okay. This is where I remind you, although you don't need reminding, I know, but really keep writing to me. I am Maureen at devilmaycaremedia.com. You can also find me on Instagram. Remember to like and subscribe to The Nerve at YouTube and spread the word. The faster we grow, the faster we get you even more stuff, and we have longer and more frequent conversations. We are back in a minute. This episode is brought to you by Masa Chips. Now, did you know that chips and fries used to be cooked in tallow up until the 1990s? That's when big corporations switched to cheaper oils, processed oils, seed oils. Today, seed oils make up 20% of the average American's daily calories, and recent studies have linked seed oils to metabolic health issues and inflammation in the body. No bueno. So Masa decided to do something about it, and they created a tasty and delicious tortilla chip with just 3 ingredients, and none of them are seed oils. Just organic corn, sea salt, and 100% grass-fed beef tallow. So these chips don't just avoid the bad stuff, they taste incredible too. Masa is crunchier, tastier, and it is sturdier than your other chips. It does not break underneath the weight of your guacamole, which is like the number one consideration as far as I'm concerned. Snacking on Masa chips is nothing like eating regular chips. With Masa, you feel satisfied. You're going to feel light and energetic. You're not going to get those crashing, bloating, sluggish feelings that come with a lot of other chips on the marketplace. And an added bonus is that the beef tallow makes the chips that much more satiating, so you won't find yourself uncontrollably binging after because you're still feeling hungry. Masa Chips is beloved by tens of thousands of customers, and it has been endorsed by industry-leading health and nutrition experts like Ben Greenfield and Gary Brecka. Ready to give Masa a try? Go to masachips.com/Maureen and use code Maureen for 25% off your first order. That's masachips.com/Maureen, code Maureen for 25% off your first order. Now, troublemakers, last week, we asked ourselves, vis-a-vis this obscenity going down in Venice, where was Greta Thunberg? I mean, this is her scene, is it not? We've got a crumbling city that's being further stressed by a billionaire's. He claims it's 50 million. I've seen reports that the wedding cost 67, 65. That seems more likely to me that it's closer to a $67 million wedding, okay? We've got at least 90 private jets flying in and out, one of whom is surely transporting that great environmentalist, Leonardo DiCaprio. Surely this is Greta's scene, right? This is her moment. The eyes of the world are on Venice. Scoot over there, you little doom goblin. Get over there. Now, apparently, though, she had a prior commitment, like Katy Perry. She had a prior commitment. Okay, so let's hear from Greta. We have a reel. This is great. You got, again, like if you're listening, come to the YouTube channel and watch this part of the show. Greta on Instagram, our self-described autistic and bipolar climate justice activist. Her portfolio is expanding. As we know, she has to update that Instagram bio. Here she is from a pride parade in Budapest.
Today I am joining thousands of people in Budapest in Hungary who are defying Viktor Orban's desperate attempt to ban the Pride March. Pride is both a protest but also a celebration of love and who we are. This is yet another fascist attack on human rights.
A fascist attack on human rights. So she's saying all of this, again, swathed in her keffiyeh, which represents a group of people, including Hamas, who like to throw gays off of rooftops. And we'll get into what else they do to gay people. Hamas. She's in a fucking keffiyeh. Again, you would think that having your flotilla intercepted by the IDF, who says to you, we're going to make you watch footage of the attacks of October 7th, and she's such a little coward. She says, no, she's not going to watch it. As I said, once you see it, you can't unsee it. You cannot unsee it. But I do believe now, again, the great environmentalist, she and her cohort, whoever she was, she's traveling with a couple of terrorists. Again, nobody's perfect, I guess, right? You dance with who brought you. When the IDF was getting ready to board their flotilla, they all tossed their devices, their laptops, iPads. Again, like an Islamic fundamentalist terrorist who's like got an Apple subscription and Apple equipment seems a contradiction. But what do I know? So they throw and their iPhones over into the ocean, into the water. Okay, so again, environmentalist, great environmentalist. So anyway, I think that the IDF probably confiscated the cafes because we saw her land in Paris without them, or one. I think she was on that plane without one. I don't think they sell them in airport gift shops yet. So she probably had to do without. She could probably get a neck pillow, but not a keffiyeh. But then, so I thought, well, how did she get a keffiyeh so quickly to get back over to Budapest and advocate for gay rights while dressed in something that represents the murder of gay people? Well, it turned. So I said, you know what? What if you could just go on Amazon Prime and buy one? But I thought to myself, this I'm going to check, but this is a formality, right? Like there's no way Jeff Bezos is selling keffiyehs on Amazon Prime. You guys, Jeff Bezos is selling keffiyehs on Amazon Prime. Okay. The devil wears Prada. The devil wears keffiyehs. I mean, I'm going to show them to you now. We're showing the assortment that you can select from the keffiyeh store it's not like an actual store. You know what I'm saying though? I mean, any of you out there, any of you troublemakers who are I would say just wait till Prime Day. I think the sales will be great. You'll get a really good discount. Okay. To Greta, I look, if she's not going to educate herself, I will take it upon myself to do so. I will, because I cannot abide this idiocy in the culture. And you go on her Instagram feed and look at the celebrities who are like cheering her on. Okay. Look at the celebrities who are like, go girl. Okay. So I'm going to quote from a Human Rights Watch report from February 2016. Now, this went to a 34-year-old reported Hamas terrorist. So, no tears shed. But his name was Mahmoud Eshtui, if I'm saying that correctly. He was based in Gaza. Now, he was suspected of being a gay man, and he was arrested and ritually and brutally tortured for over a year in a series of secret locations. Again, this is over having sex with another man. So I'm going to read a bit from this report. I have to warn you, it is graphic. So if you are, sensitive to this stuff or there are little ones around, that's your warning. And again, we have to put this out in the air, in the sunlight. It's the only disinfectant. Now, a family member who was permitted to meet with Mahmoud during his detention said that Mahmoud told them, quote, and he told them in the presence of an official in this detention facility, he said that he had been tortured, including beatings and suspensions from the ceiling. He said the commander had beaten him about 500 times with a hose, ordering him to I mean, there's no way to win in this situation. Ordering him to confess. And if he confesses, it's like the Salem witch trials. If he confesses, he's guilty. If he doesn't confess, he's going to get beaten so brutally that he's going to have to confess or they're going to kill him that way, And the beatings were so severe, he passed blood in his urine. A second note, apparently signed by one of the commanders responsible for this interrogation, reviewed by Human Rights Watch, said, quote, what Mahmoud was threatened with. Believe me, you will not say the truth until the cement reaches your mouth, which is an allusion to a form of torture that includes threatening to bury the victim alive in a concrete grave. Sean Combs is taking notes in a federal courthouse in Manhattan. Sean, if you're listening to this podcast, stop, don't. This is not for you. Okay. And, again, listen, when even Hamas's best and brightest isn't safe, I mean, what hope is there, Greta? Am I right? Right? Now, vis-a-vis the Bezos wedding, We are getting some calls that are coming from inside the house. It looks like we may have a few we're calling these people nerve blockers, and I owe a troublemaker. This idea came from one of you guys. You guys, we are like having this, we are in this show together. So we have some celebrity nerve blockers who are speaking up against this obscenity. Charlize Theron was giving a speech the other day. I don't know the sum and substance of her speech, but of Lauren and Jeff and everyone in attendance at this wedding, she said, and I quote, "They suck." Mia Farrow posted about the brilliant, decent, generous Mackenzie Scott Bezos, who Jeff left for this sex doll over here. Okay, just my opinion. She looks like a blow-up sex doll. Mackenzie Scott has given away like $20 billion so far to charities, and she's doing it in a way that's like very straight and direct, and layers of bureaucracy are gone, and so Mia posted in honor of Mackenzie this weekend, and Olivia Munn ratified that. And so I'm just saying, like, again, troublemakers, we're pushing some stuff into the bloodstream. We're pushing some healthy stuff into the pop cultural bloodstream. Now, Katie Couric is not getting there, okay? She is not getting there. She is over on Jack Schlossberg's Instagram account, who's like, I'm not even getting into it, but she's over there, and she's being a bitch over, like, you know what, Katie, if you want to just be a bitch about it, just do it on your own Instagram or your own podcast. Don't do it under the umbrella of Jack Schlossberg's Instagram. What are you doing cozying up to this guy? What are you doing? So she posts, and she's not a wordsmith. It feels very basic. This is her post, and I quote, I think it's been taken down, but I pulled it off the New York Post report about it. "Welcome to the 80s, she wrote, when big hair and conspicuous consumption ruled." This is terrible writing. "Apparently tacky is back." Tacky never went away. A lot of the people that we talk about on The Nerve are tacky, but in sum and substance, by their very definition. It never went away, and you're tacky too, because you're not even having the courage of your convictions. Say this shit on your own platform. Own it. Own it, as Oprah would say. Own it. Also, Amy Griffin, who is the author of the best-selling Oprah-endorsed memoir, The Tell, was also at the Bezos wedding, and we're going to get to her book in a future episode. I've been working on it for a while. We're going to talk about this. If you're considering buying the book, I'm just going to encourage you, do not. And also, I'm going to, I was going to try to get to Barbara Walters today, but we'll do it on Friday's show, I promise. I do have a lot to say about that. If you haven't seen the Hulu doc yet, try to watch it before the show so we can all be in on the conversation. Now, before I get to our moment of nirvana, I'm so happy to introduce this. Oh, wait a second. Wait, before we get to that, I have to show you guys again. So the Onion lives, okay? It's not what it used to be in the culture, but it lives. And about the Bezos Sanchez wedding, they had a couple of items. One in which they wrote about the gift in their estimation, what would have been in those gift baskets for the wedding guests. And they had urine bottles, like most Amazon warehouse employees have to use because they have timed breaks to the bathroom. Strict, like they may as well be dogs with like electric zzz. What are you doing in there? Why are you taking more than 15 seconds? Oh my God, he's the worst. And then there was this other item that this mocked up photo that had an, you know how a lot of people will have dogs marching up and down the aisle with them, their dogs as like part of the wedding party. This one had an Amazon employee as a dog walking on all fours up the aisle in front of Jeff and Lauren, which is great. I also just wanted to say, because we have to do this, it's part of the cultural conversation, which no one else is having. And my hope is that the Nerve forces other outlets. You know, I know it's not really the province of the Access Hollywoods or the Extras or the Page Sixes of the world, but let's get some ancillary arm of mainstream media to not just be like, can you guys believe what's going on over here, but talk about the abuses that go on at Amazon all the effing time. Okay, so I just want to remind everybody of what went down in May 2020 during the height of the pandemic. And there were a lot of Amazon workers around the country who were agitating, and they were like, we don't feel safe. We don't feel like we have protections. We are considered like first responders. We have to show up for work no matter what. And Tim Bray was an executive who left, and he resigned in an open letter that went out to the media. He left in solidarity with these warehouse workers who were protesting these terrible conditions. So Bray said the company was treating warehouse workers like, quote, fungible units of pick and pack potential. I continue from his letter, firing whistleblowers isn't just a side effect of macroeconomic forces, nor is it intrinsic to the function of free markets. It's evidence of a vein of toxicity running through the company culture. I choose neither to serve nor drink that poison. Bray's resignation, and that's the end of that quote. His resignation, it cost him $1 million in stock. And what he said at the time was, quote, the best job I ever had. So that says a lot, okay? From a more recent report, in the May 2024 edition of The Nation, headline, Amazon says its injury rates are down. They're still the highest in the industry. From this report, again, this goes to warehouse employees who are made to wear trackers on their bodies that record their movements and locations down to the nanosecond. And injuries that they sustain on the job, some workers say, are minimized or blamed on pre-existing conditions. This is what Keith Williams, who was then a warehouse worker in what I believe is New York's Hudson Valley, told The Nation, quote, they'll always preach safe. Keep this in mind when you're looking at these images of this wedding, okay? They'll always preach safety and taking your time, but then they'll say, this morning we need everyone to tackle the heavy stuff and get everything out as fast as possible. In August of 2023, Williams was working in a trailer alone when a stack of boxes fell, and a 45-pound box containing a computer desk hit him on the base of his neck. He was told he would not be allowed to recover at home. He was instead directed to complete administrative tasks on a computer after 2.5 months of light duty. Williams returned to standard work, but quickly started to feel weakness in his wrists and elbows. Quote, it got so bad that I couldn't lift a 1-pound box. This is a 45-year-old man who can no longer lift a 1-pound box. His doctor, the report in The Nation said, told him, Williams, that he had never fully recovered from the initial incident, which had caused a pinched nerve. To quote Sarah Foster, 2 people in love got married. Their friends showed up. Fuck off, Sarah Foster. Fuck off. Quickly, this new Jackie O bombshell. It's Jackie Kennedy, actually, really. This is the cover of the new People magazine, pegged to a new book by J. Randy Taraborelli that has seemingly unearthed yet another JFK mistress who claimed to have gotten pregnant by Jack and had an abortion. And there's a lot of speculation that this might not be fully legit, if at all legit. The woman is dead. Her survivors say they found these writings in her diary, but this is the tell. And again, trust me, as someone who's done the work and read the book, she says that sex with JFK was wild. And every woman who ever had sex with JFK, including Jackie, who confided in her priest and her doctor that Jack was terrible in bed and he lasted 3 minutes tops. He was described as like a dog hitting a fire hydrant, scratching an itch. He didn't like sex. So wild sex that goes all night long, that's like lighting your hair, like, no. So we'll see. We'll see when the book comes out. But I had to address it because it's Jackie. We have to address anything that has to do with Jackie. Okay. Now, before we get to our much promised moment of nirvana, here is what is happening. Here's our newest development at The Nerve. We, every month, are going to anoint a new troublemaker of the month. This will go to one of you guys. And the prize that will be sent to you this is so Nerve. I mean, I have these, I give these as gifts to people who I really, really have great affection for and know will appreciate them. This is a very elegant matchbook set of matchbooks contained, so like soldiers, right? They're standing straight up. There's a nice little strip on the side so you can light your match, and they are called remaining fucks. Light up your remaining fucks. So again, keep your emails, your artwork, your DMs, your thoughts, keep them all coming. You too. Maybe lighting up a remaining fuck before you know it. Okay, now, in that vein, let's end today's show on a lighter note, the palate cleanser. The soundbite and the video it restores us to our essential selves, right? Like if I'm Maria Shriver, I'm going to say, this is a restorative exercise in validating our humanity. But really what it is, it's proof that we are all seeing and hearing what we are seeing and hearing, and not what the entertainment, celebrity, industrial complex would have us believe. Now, as the most recent episode of And Just Like That ratified all of our suspicions, or just my suspicion, let me put it that way, that Sarah Jessica Parker is a terrible person. Let's hear it from the one and only Kim Cattrall speaking about passing on the third Sex and the City movie, and that movie never happened. And Sarah Jessica blamed Kim for not getting on board, but I can tell you the real reason it didn't happen is because Sex and the City 2 bombed. They were making fun of the Middle East, of women in the Middle East in particular. And, in that movie, I had it on very good authority that Sarah Jessica Parker wanted to kill Big Off then. She was pissed she didn't get to do it and become a sprightly young sex symbol on the streets of New York sooner than later. But, she's here now, whatever. Okay, anyway, here is Queen Kim in a newly resurfaced clip from 2017 on Piers Morgan. Let's look.
To get any kind of negative press about something that I've been saying for almost a year that I'm demanding or a diva, specifically Sarah Jessica Parker, is that I think she could have been nicer. I really think she could have been nicer. I don't know what her issue is.
I think we all know what her issue is. Kim's more talented. She's gorgeous. She seems nice. That's the issue. It's usually that simple. It's Occam's razor. Simplest explanation is the most likely. So there you go. Thanks. Okay. Solved it for you. Okay. Anyway, that does it. That is it for today's Nerve. It flew as it always does. I can't wait to see you back here on Friday. We have no shortage of stuff to get to. So we will reconvene then back on the Nerve, where you will never guess what we're about to say next.